if successful in manifesting is due to focus, what if it were possible to stay focused and connected to what matters to you, no matter what's going on around you? That's exactly what we're exploring today in this episode. You're listening to Ariana Rollins, and this is Mindful Manifesting Podcast. Over the years, I've noticed a pattern that shows up whenever someone decides to create a meaningful change in their life. See if you can relate. You want something really big. You know it's going to be life-changing for you. You've even clearly defined all the details around your objective. You feel inspired. You have clarity how your life will change when you accomplish it. You feel the emotions of what it's going to be like when you're celebrating. Then, almost like clockwork, something happens. You stop focusing on it. And if you think about focus, I want to explore this a little bit. I used to take photos with an old SLR camera, and you would focus it. And what's interesting is that you would have the upfront focus, and then you would sometimes blur the background focus. For manifesting to be successful in terms of being more automated, not taking a whole lot of your emotional energy and attention, is you want to have that focus like something that's centered, with the SLR camera, and then the background is blurred. Now, follow me on this one. So if I'm going to reverse this actually. I'm talking this through just as I'm recording this. The reverse is true. You want to be focused on where you're going, that endpoint, and not what's right in front of you. Because here's the thing, is when we focus on the lack of what we are wanting, we are looking at our current physical reality. All of us do it. But if you are able to maintain the focus on where you're going and having your day-to-day reality take care of itself, that creates a buoyant, positive energy, even to the point where, let's say you're looking to grow your business and you want to double your income this month or next month, because we're at the end of May right now as I record this episode. And that you've got some friends who are really, really cheering you on. They're deeply connected to your success. Maybe over dinner, drinks, you're talking to them, and you're all sharing how things are going. And one of your friends looks you right in the eye and says to you, "How's it going with doubling your income?" And you can feel how important your response is in multiple ways. First is that if you respond to your actual reality, you haven't got brought on those new clients yet. You haven't doubled your income. But what's that going to serve? That's focusing on the here and now, the physical reality. But where you're going, your focus is in that distant future. Maybe not so long of a time do you have to wait, but it is in the future, isn't it? So what do you say? You could say, well, it hasn't happened yet, but I don't have new income yet, don't have new clients. But you say, yeah, things are going great. And she may accept it at that point, or she could say, oh, really? Tell me more. What's going on? Wow, I'm feeling great. And that's an indication. For me, I'm on track. Everything's going good. Now, a good friend would leave it, right? They'd leave it at that because they're recognizing your emotional state contributes to your focus, your intention, your successfulness. So they're not going to press you on it. A friend who is maybe a doubting Thomas or a negative Nellie might say, well, what are you talking about? You got some new clients already? What's going on? And this, my friends, is where we need to switch gears. We need to switch topics, because if someone is trying to pull out our doubt, our fear, our concerns, it's not going to help anybody. And it's definitely not going to help you focus on that distant future. You're going to go right back to focusing on that thing that's right in front of you, and it's not what you want. So focusing into reality, that which you desire, that which you want to manifest, is a delicate dance. So I often tell my students is do not share your big objectives, your big intentions with anyone until you've accomplished it. Because people, that's their nature. They get curious. They just want to know. And it's not like they're trying to discourage, but the depth of their questions, the doubt they are putting on it, can impact us. If you think about yourself, you have a physical immune system, your body does. And you know if you're run down, you're stressed, you potentially can catch, your friend's cold. Or if you are vibrant, you're getting good sleep, you're eating well, you're exercising, you've got an immunity to your friend's cold. So it doesn't matter if she coughs on me, sneezes on me. I don't like it, but I'm not going to get sick. You don't even have that in your consciousness. But you may not be aware of this, is that you have also an energetic immunity. I'll explore this a little bit more for you. So when we are, we're aligned with what I would call the wise part of myself, my true self. When I'm operating out of alignment, I'm feeling uplifted, I'm in flow, synchronistic moments are happening, I'm not worrying, I'm not thinking about how is my objective going to come into physical reality. I'm not in the doubt, I'm not in the negative Nelly mindset. I am in flow and I am connected to the part of me that's going to help me bring that into physical reality. But if I get outside of that, and if I allow other people's doubts, fears, worries to get in, that energetic community starts to get impacted. And we can start to have negative thoughts surfacing. We are human. So it could trigger our own thoughts and doubts. So that's my recommendation. Yes, there are people out there that say, share your goal, it uplifts all. But no, not in my experience, especially for the people who really care about you, because they don't want you disappointed. They don't want to hear that you're struggling. They want you to win. So you're like, well, why would they impact me then? They want me to win. But sometimes in that wanting you to win, they can go into protection mode. And if you've tried this before, you've tried to set that big objective, that big goal, and you've not been successful at it, they remember your history. So not only is your history and your life experiences stored in your physical body, it's also stored in your closest relationships. And that's also what makes them lovely, because they know you. But if you want to have the best possible shot at accomplishing that objective, keep it to yourself until you've accomplished it. So let's go back to this. So you've got this really big goal. You've defined it. You feel inspired. You've got clarity. Oh my gosh, how your life is going to change when it happens. But almost like clockwork, you stop focusing on it exclusively. You start doing the little things, the goals that feel safe and achievable. You might even start questioning whether it's even possible to achieve that big one, that life-changing one. Maybe you distract yourself with bright, shiny objects, things that feel like they're going to help you move you forward, but not on the big things. It's the small stuff. You're busy, but you feel overwhelmed for no reason. Now, that feeling of overwhelm is really a background anxiety. Now, what if that feeling of overwhelm was that you were getting a little message? You're not focusing on the right things here. Don't focus on what's the physical, upfront reality right now. Keep your focus on the distant future. What if that was a message? So I have seen this pattern in a lot of my students, and I see it also happening in my own life. I have to be ever so aware of what am I focused on right now, because if I'm focused on a stress of a day and I start looking for more evidence of why I'm so stressed, why my sleep is not good, well, the brain is going to answer it. It loves why questions, and it's going to give me all this compelling evidence why I'm not feeling great today. What if I notice it, but I don't give it any traction? Okay. So whenever I've committed something, life-changing, a big one, big ones, and I'm not going to share all the big ones I've done, other than I will do this one because this one is pretty remarkable. So I was 16 years old and I went to England to stay with my grandmom. I had finished high school, got out early. And while I was there, I loved it. I wanted to move there. I could feel it in my body. I knew this is my country. Yes, I was born in the United States. You hear it in my accent. But I knew like I had an English soul. Well, my father was British, but I was 16. I didn't know that meant anything. So then I got to go back when I was 20, and then I got to go back when I was 22. Got to go, and by that point, I think it was my third trip, I said, I am moving here. Don't know how, but I am. So when I finished my university degree, the very next day I was on a plane back to England, and I was staying with my uncle, and it was a lovely experience. About a month into the visit, I started dating. Great boyfriend, great relationship, got friends, and I was like, ooh, this is feeling really good. This is feeling like home. So I moved into a beautiful room rental in a really nice area. And guess who was renting the room to me? She was an Air Canada employee. And she and I were talking, and she told me that, hey, if your father was British, you qualify for British citizenship. I said, no way. I couldn't believe it. She said, yeah. So I got my father's birth certificate, and I got my birth certificate, and I went to the government office, filled out the application, and I remember to this day, as I was handing over the application with my money to pay for it, I was so excited, but there was a little nervousness. This isn't going to work. I felt like I was doing something I shouldn't be doing. And then when she said, great, your application's in, you'll receive your passport in, I don't know, X days. And I walked out of there on cloud 9. Now, when I was 16, I did want to move there, but I was still young. Actually, forgot to tell you this part. I even got a job. I got a job offer, and they were going to sponsor me. But sometimes when the timing is right, what did it take me? I guess I was 26 when I finally moved to England. It took me 10 years. Was it worth waiting for? Absolutely. Was I even in a better position than I was when I was 16? Yeah. I had a college degree and I had training. And that's really good looking for a job. So, and I got a British passport. So when we commit to something life-changing, a part of us wants it now. And that's that one that's demanding that we transform our life right now. And we're looking at that like front and center focus rather than the future focus, our future, our distant future. And what if we were to let it go like I did? I wasn't stressing or fretting about being able to move to England. I knew that's where I was going. So there's something in having that dual focus, again, going back to the camera. What you're choosing to blur out and what you're choosing to put really crisp and clear in your focus. There is a powerful skill that you can develop because, yes, do we need to live in the physical world today? Yeah, of course we do. Right? We need to go do our work. We've got to pay the bills. We've got to take care of our home, our family. There are physical demands to being on earth in a body. But if we allow that to be our where our energy is consumed, we can put our head on the pillow at night and it's like, gosh, drudgery. We're just getting through the motions. We're just living another day, just biding time. And then another year will pass and another year will pass. And we're not feeling like we've got traction on the big changes we want to make. So having that dual focus is exactly what I teach in the Highest Potential program. It's that focus on the here and now, what you need to do, but you know where you're going. And especially in the big objective process, you can work on something that's a 10 in desirability, of course. You always want to do that, but also a 10 in difficulty. So if you've never experienced it before, or you've got a lot of challenges and a lot of disappointments, a lot of failures, that could make it a 10 perceptual in difficulty. And what we do is step by step, systematically, is we unravel that difficulty so that it starts to feel possible, doable, and you are proceeding 1 foot, physical reality, ground, and 1 foot where you are going. And when you move through that old conditioning, all the experiences you had that have been disappointing around this particular objective, this intention, those familiar patterns that once kept you safe, they may try to pull you back into what's known and predictable. And that's the thing that happens where you start to get your focus off your distant future and you start focusing on the here and now. In a way, it's almost as though we get triggered into survival and scarcity instead of that certainty of our distant future and where we're going. So I want to talk about, it's a little guide that I created many years ago, and I think it's so relevant for the time we're living in right now, and it's really going to support you around this topic that we've been exploring. And it's called 7 Ways to Quiet Inner Resistance and Create Momentum. And these are practical steps I personally use and I teach to help you stay aligned with your energy, where you're going, what's right for you, so you are focused. And if distraction comes up or procrastination starts to leech in, ooh, isn't that a good term? A leech sucks our blood out. Oh, it's a terrible visual. But procrastination's like that. It leeches our life force. Well, if you'd like a free copy of the guide, what I'd like you to do is I'm going to put a link below. Subscribe to my newsletter, send me an email and say, hey, Ariana, you talked about that on the show, the podcast, and I want it because I don't have it formally set up, guys, where you can download it. It's that fresh and that new. The new version of it is. Okay. So these are 7 tips to quiet inner resistance and create momentum. And I'll go through them, but the little guide has more detail in it. 1, choose the right time. 2, be consistent. 3, prepare your state of mind. 4, create a supportive environment. 5, get organized. 6, prep for success. That one's one of my favorites. And 7, protect your vision. Okay, I'll share a little bit about this and you can download it and get more. So inner resistance tends to be stronger when we're stressed, rushed, or just tired. So I invite you to set aside time when you're naturally calm and receptive. For many people, that's the first thing in the morning or just before bed. So if you need to do something meaningful, choose the best time for you. When your mind and body are relaxed, change becomes much easier. 2, be consistent. Transformation happens through steady, repeated practice. Even 15 to 30 minutes a day can create meaningful progress if you're writing a book, if you're going to the gym, if you're doing a yoga practice. Consistency signals to your unconscious mind that you're serious about this and that this new direction matters. We know this about going to the gym. It's not that first workout that's going to transform our bodies. It could be the 10th, the 20th, the 30th. But if you're consistent, even if you only have 30 minutes, you're going to build that traction. You're going to feel it in your body. You're going to be grateful for your consistency. Number 3, prepare your state of mind. Your emotional state influences your results. It influences everything. And it really sets the course of our day by setting our attitude. So before you begin, take a few moments to breathe, center yourself, and reconnect with your deeper intention. Why do you want this objective? Feel it. Allow your emotions to bubble up again. Because here's the thing, when your body feels safe, your mind becomes more receptive to change. And even if that big, big goal is going to make a massive, wonderful change in your life, it also carries change, doesn't it? And the body, as the storehouse of your unconscious mind, can be resistant to change. It likes the familiar, just like a doggy. Okay, number 4, create a supportive environment. Your surroundings affect your focus and energy, whether it's how you've laid out your home, it's your belongings, obviously, family members, your partner, dogs, cats. So when you're going to work on something that's important to you, choose a quiet, comfortable space where you can work without distraction. One of my favorite places is my third place, which means go to a coffee shop. Headphones in, and I get to work. That's where I write my best stuff for my books. A peaceful environment helps your mind shift into a more receptive state. Now, what do I mean by receptive state? Receptive, it means you're going to get the insights, the intuition to uncover your next step. That receptivity is really important. Okay, 5, get organized. Resistance can appear when things feel complicated. Clutter can increase our complication. We've got to move things out of the way to even start doing the project. So if you have a bunch of open pending documents, everybody does on their computer, and you want to work on your book, well, you're going to have to move everything out of the way to be able to focus on your book. If you have notifications on your phone, your email, you're going to get ding, ding, ding. Distraction, right? So getting organized, maybe clearing your desktop, gathering your notes, or anything that you need before you begin. So sit for a moment, get yourself centered, get that supportive environment, and then just tune in. What do I need to move forward on this? I've got 4 versions of a chapter I'm working on right now for my next book. Yes, 4 versions, because they all came out at different times. And I've got them all open in 4 different Word documents, and I'm going to review and highlight the pieces that are the best. And then I'm going to create the final chapter. Maybe that's not the way writers should work, but oh well, that's what I did. All right, 6, prepare for success. Expect and anticipate insights, breakthroughs, the little breadcrumbs. Have the resources you need readily available so that you can act when inspiration arises. Now, one of the things that I think that we often dismiss is the importance of having some wonderful money in a savings account. So if you have an opportunity to take a trip, a spontaneous trip, I've been looking at the idea of going to Thailand since my son sent me these amazing pictures. Well, that's likely going to happen if I put just a little bit of money aside for my travel fund, just a little bit. And then when the opportunity comes, I've got the money saved. Okay, prep for success. 7, protect your vision. Okay, in the early stages of growth, for that big objective you're working on, your vision is like a plant, a seed that you've just put in the soil. And it benefits from a little protection. You wouldn't put a brand new seed in a garden that was at risk for frost. I know in Austin, we're approaching, summer, so we're full on in spring. Everything's growing. But if I had planted, I've got some little flower seedlings growing on my porch. If I'd planted that when it was 30 degrees out there, it wouldn't have taken root. So protecting our vision makes sure our environment, like I've gone through all these other things, but also to not share it with anyone who could potentially be a negative Nelly. Allow your goals to strengthen, to root, to have some traction, success before exposing them to the doubts and opinions of others, especially if someone you really respect and they doubt your chosen objective, your path. No. Not ideal. So honor what's emerging within you. So, creating meaningful change is not about forcing. Forcing creates stress. And yes, we can force things into physical reality. But if we have to rely on force or willpower, I deeply question whether it was right for us in the first place. Creating meaningful change happens much more naturally when we're operating from alignment, when we've got harmony between our conscious intentions and our unconscious mind. And our body, which is the doer, the storehouse of our history and our unconscious mind, helps us get things done. So when you choose the right time, practice consistently, prep your emotional state, observe and create that supportive environment, organize yourself a bit, and prep for success and protect your vision, inner resistance begins to quiet and you're taking those meaningful actions, and momentum naturally takes its place. So again, if you'd like a free copy of the guide, 7 Ways to Quiet Inner Resistance and Create Momentum, please join my newsletter here. I'll put it in the show notes. You can also go to mindfulachiever.com, opt in for my freebie, and email me, and I'll send it out to you. You'll be one of the first to get it, because I gotta tell you guys, it's not finished. It's close. But this is one of my strategies. If I put it out there, if I make an offer, then I'm gonna get it done. It's just one of my personal hacks. All right. So I really enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you got some insights, a little bit longer than we normally go. And as we wrap up, remember, as you confirm yourself, you chart your own path to success. So much love, many blessings. Thanks for listening. Bye.